Hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is Skill87 and today's video is a follow-up to my previous warrior build video, which I called the Stand Tall Warrior build. Before I get on, with what this video is about, I want to thank everyone who watched my previous video. Thank you for the positive and negative feedback. Thank you for the plus 10,000 views or 100 likes. Truly appreciate it. Did not expect the video to be as successful as it actually is. I've been getting lots of personal messages on YouTube, Whispers in Game, talking about modifications, additions, play styles. And with this video, I'm going to explain a couple things I changed about my build to, in a sense, modernize it because it's technically outdated because ANET wants to be gay as fuck and remove fucking Turtle's defense, which was like the most awesome trait in a defense tree. So I decided to figure out a way to continue standing tall and sacrifice toughness in favor of more discipline. And it ultimately leads to a stronger warrior, and I still have the ability to take hits like a champion. So before I get into that, let me answer some questions in this video so that everyone can get a couple of things out the way. I get these questions in PMs a lot. One of the most common questions I get is, do I simply just use the gear shown in the video? That is no. As you can clearly see, I'm the kind of warrior that I always come prepared, depending on my party setup. Because like I said in my previous video, there is no such thing as a perfect build. If you think your build is perfect and that one build suits every situation, you're lying out your fucking ass. There's no such thing. So I come prepared. If I'm in a party that, doesn't have any form of condition removal other than myself, I will sacrifice my entire build in favor of a superior rune of soldier gear setup I have, which provides all soldier stats, and I'll switch to a shout build. And if I'm in a party where we need damage, or I have the ability to increase damage output because I am no longer needed to, in a sense, tank, I have full berserker sub armor and berserker gear. And of course, despite the fact that I utilize soldiers weaponry, just in case I want to hit a little harder, I carry berserker weapons also. I have berserker greatsword, I have a shield and axe now. So I'm the kind of guy when you invite to a group, I'm always prepared depending on the situation. I'll usually pop a question like, hey, what's our setup? What kind of build you guys running? Because I can modify mine just to make up for what we don't have. I feel that if you're not doing that, then you're not taking your job seriously as a warrior, because a warrior is very versatile. Another question I typically get is, do I have to use, the sword and rifle? And that answer is depending on the situation you're in. I typically, most warriors love the great sword rifle combination, but depending on the situation I'm in, I'll switch it out for a shield and axe. It's really just your preference. I'll explain that in a second, why I use a shield and axe over a rifle sometimes. But let's talk about the build itself. This video I'm not going to show too much about what I'm wearing because it's really just a follow-up, like an update for the previous video. But for those who are still new, I wear all knight's armor, power, precision, toughness with ruby orbs built into them. I have a soldier's sword with superior sigil of fire. I typically utilize my rifle, which is berserker with superior sigil of force. We're all soldiers sub armor. I have a piece of ascended gear, which is soldiers build, and that's pretty much it. The whole concept of this build is for people who don't like the cliche berserker build. This is people who want to have more toughness, health, and still dish out relatively solid damage. I make no claims that my build is the almighty, but I feel that my build is a step in the right direction for those who are learning the game, people that need, like, in a sense, guidance as to how to play warrior. And this is a fantastic way to learn how to play the game, learn how to play warrior. And once you feel that in a sense mastered the whole high toughness, high vitality concept, and you're willing to sacrifice that for more power, because of this build, you will have learned to, in a sense, stay alive. That's the concept of this build. I get people talking about, my build is too weak. I never claimed you're going to be a berserker damage. You're going to be a tank in a sense, dealing out solid damage. So let's talk about my traits. The traits, similar to previous video, I keep 20 and 25. In strength, you're gonna have Berserker's Power, Slashing Sword. Remember, your great sword is your main weapon. Everything else is just there. It's there, for certain situations. I'm not going to sacrifice, specific traits to increase the damage of other weapons when your main damage output is your great sword. In arms, you're gonna use Rending Strikes and Forceful Greatsword. In defense, I decided to sacrifice 10 in defense, okay? And sacrifice 10 in defense, and using the exact gear I use, soldiers and knights, you'll still have over 3,000 armor, which is fantastic. I decided to use Sure-Footed because Sure-Footed really makes Endure Pain that much, more reliable. I cannot believe they got rid of Turtle's Defense in favor of Dodged March. It is fucking useless. Now I'm going to be, eating my own words. My previous video, I stated that I don't need discipline. Well, I take that back. I need discipline. Why? Because when it comes to getting ascended gear, the ones with soldier stats don't have fucking plus crit damage, and unlike standard weapon, standard sub armor, you can't put jewelry in it. You got to use the specific infused bullshit, and the infused items I'm going after will add agony resistance. So I decided that plus 15 discipline will help make up for the crit damage loss with the ascended gear and boost my DPS overall. With plus 15 discipline, you're gonna have plus 15 critical damage base and plus 2% burst damage, which is fucking useless. You're gonna use Signet Mastery because remember in the last video I talked about when you pop Signet of Rage and for Great Justice, after both those buffs are done, you will have about a 10-12 second window of you being unbuffed, if other people in your party aren't buffing, of course. With Signet Mastery, this will decrease the recast timer of Signet of Rage by 12 seconds, which ultimately leads to more DPS over time and less downtime of you being unbuffed. It's just fantastic. On top of that, we're bringing it to 15 because we want fast hands. Weapon swapping recharges 5 seconds later. This is more of a personal thing. You don't have to go 15 discipline. I want that weapon swap, and I want that plus crit damage because I incorporated an axe and shield into my build. And this really adds to the stand tall concept because what I noticed is, and this is something that a lot of experienced players will agree on, though there is no actual way of determining how a mob aggroes, or this game doesn't have like any form of provoke or tanking abilities. So what it's pretty much agreed upon amongst more experienced Guild Wars 2 players is that the more toughness you have, the more likely the mob will have his attention towards you. So that's why even though I sacrifice toughness in the toughness tree for more discipline, I still have over 3,000 toughness when wielding a greatsword. Now the reason I use a shield and axe and a rifle is depending on the situation I'm in. Okay, if I notice that someone else in the group is more capable of holding aggro than me, I will rely on the rifle. Therefore, once I get hit and I need to retreat, I can retreat with the rifle. You know what I'm saying? Heal myself up and do damage from a distance, not worry about the mob moving. If it's one thing that most jobs, classes rely on, is the mob standing still. If I notice that I'm the one in the party that the mob seems to have a sexual attraction to, I will rely on the axe and shield. Because what I'll do is once, let's say a big AoE hits and everyone needs to retreat and the mob's relatively concentrating on me, one of the worst things to do, one of the biggest things that can cause a wipe is a mob that's running around. And then, players getting confused, the mob's running around and shit. So this adds to the stand tall concept. I switch to the shield and axe. I pop shield bash. I pop, I'll pop shield stance. And once that's done, I'll pop endure pain. This is pretty much about nearly 10 seconds. I'm giving the group nearly 10 seconds to recuperate. The axe is more of a preference thing. I use a berserker shield and a berserker axe. It's personal preference. When I'm in that little defensive mode, I still want to do high DPS. As you can clearly tell from the latest update, Signet Fury increases passively by 180, which is fucking awesome. They really made the signets really reliable now. So, my my last video, you thought my base precision was high. Now it's even higher. So now this is even great. And for a defensive, in a sense, build, I still have, plus crit damage and plus crit chance, plus 65, crit chance. That's crazy for a defensive build, and I hit hard as shit, as you can clearly tell. So I use, superior sigil fire and the axe. So even when I'm on the defensive, I'm still there whooping some fucking ass. You know what I'm saying? So that's more of a preference thing. You don't have to use a shield at all. I just feel that I want to be the warrior that can adapt situations. And like I said, if I'm the guy in the group the mob seems to have a thing for, I don't want the mob moving all over the place. I want the mob to stand the fuck still. So I will give my party members some time to recuperate, and if I'm not that guy, I will use my rifle instead. And of course, I have different sets of gear depending on the situation I'm in. That's my trade setup. Okay, I want to thank you guys for your continued support. Stand by for some form of gameplay, which I'll try to explain how I go about using the build and shit. It's nothing really too flashy, nothing too fancy. I'm not really good at this, but like I said, thank you for continued support. Thank you for the constructive criticism. Thank you for the views, the likes, the comments. Tell your friends about me, hit me up in game, do some dungeon runs with me, and I will be definitely adding more Guild Wars 2 videos in the future. So catch you guys next video. Deuces.
The ground and they scatter away. They fall all around like they've made a mistake. And what have we done to keep up the charade? Can never go home, we're all one and the same. We get off our horses of metal and shame. Step over the masses who whisper our name. Restrain all our voices and swallow the pain. Deadly and gorgeous, we're coming through. Because of me, I'm like Ace, I have nowhere to sleep, so we roam on the road with the other three. Feeling old and alone, now we're young and free. Nowhere to go and no home, cause they're scared of me. Listen, Miss Vixen, to your cold heart knocking. It's your heart blocking it. Scarlet, you're fixing all the holes where life should be. What do your eyes see true? We are vicious, though we never intended to be malicious. True, we're all in this, fan out the boring and repetitious. Yes, we're suspicious, so we leave no trace when our job is finished. We are listless, and we tear away. Gets the leather, the blurs of cities. Together we fought wars in our heads, so many more. Real casualties bring us at ease. Nay, just another way to go. None of us have any goals. I need to be